slides. All right, just, well, Gilles already said a few words about my intellectual trajectory, shall I say, but this is a bit of a new exercise for me to comment upon a recent election. I initially approached this election from my interest in the question of caste among Muslims and how it affects access to positions of leadership. But then I thought it would also be interesting to provide a broader overview of the recent Bihar election from the perspective of Muslim politics. So with this in mind, I'll go over the election results from the perspective of Muslim politics, and then I'll try to propose a typology of the forms of political dynamics among Muslims in Bihar, and then we can discuss whether that applies elsewhere in India as well. Of course, all of you know the main story of the 2020 Bihar election is that of an NDA victory with Nitish Kumar back as chief minister. There has been much speculation about the capacity of the opposition alliance, the Mahagathbandhan, to beat the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance. However, the NDA managed to get a majority of 125 seats, and Nitish Kumar secured a fourth term as a chief minister in spite of strong feelings of anti-incumbency. An interesting point, element about this is also the fact that Nitish Kumar, or his party, the JDU, is now second partner in the coalition with only 43 seats against the BJP 74 seats. In the Mahagathbandhan, however, the primacy of the regional party remained with the Rashtriya Janata Dal gaining 75 seats and the Congress gaining 19 seats, while the left parties won 16 constituencies. Of course, there was a wave of popularity of Tejasvi Prasad Yadav ahead of the voting, which led to some speculation as well about whether his party and his alliance could pull it off. Now, in this picture, the major topic of discussion when it comes to Muslim minority politics has been the capacity, the ability of the AIMIM, the All India Muslim Ittihad Humaines, to win 5 seats in the northeastern Simanchal region. In Simanchal, Muslims form about half of the population, from almost 80% in some districts like Jogihad to less than 40% in others. Yet these 5 seats won by the MIM led by Asaduddin Owaisi amount to less than a third of the 19 Muslim MLAs that were elected this year, which shows that there is more to Muslim political participation in Bihar than the MIM breakthrough. This points to the fact that while the 2020 Bihar election did bring some change in minority politics, some long-standing trends are still at work in the shaping of state-level politics. So, as I said, I'll try a tentative typology of the forms of political dynamics among Muslims in Bihar. And the outline follows the basic idea that Muslim political dynamics are different in minority and majority areas. So first, I'll focus on Simanchal and the AIMIM foray. I'll argue basically that the Muslim majority context or the high Muslim population in Simanchal creates a context that allows for what I term Muslim politics, a form of political discourse that relies on Muslimness and the voicing of Muslim community-specific concerns. Second, I'll turn to the minority context. Here, Muslimness cannot be a central element of the political discourse. I look at the constituencies where Muslim candidates won, and I'll try to highlight say different types according to party strategies. And third, I'll turn to Pasmanda politics, so we could say Muslim identity politics, by highlighting the poor faith of the organization I actually went to Bihar to follow, called the Ansari Mahapanchayat. All right, so the overall picture is one where there are a few less Muslim MLAs elected this year than 5 years ago. And while the Muslim population of Bihar is about 17%, so above national average, the number of Muslim MLAs has been consistently below the share of Muslim population. There are several constituencies, 13 constituencies with more than 40% of Muslim population, and 32 constituencies with more than 30% Muslim population. So this gives certain importance to the Muslim vote. Now, if we turn to what I call Muslim politics, so I define Muslim politics as a political discourse that stresses the need for Muslims to be politically represented on their own terms and to voice community-specific concerns. So this is distinct from the minority context, where Muslims seem subject to kind of what we could call a minority syndrome, and more concerned with security than with collective assertion. So what I call Muslim politics then is ideally represented by Asaduddin Owaissi's AIMIM party, and it worked well this time in Himachal. Owaisi himself stated the need for Muslim politics, for instance, in a response to an interview with Barkadat in the aftermath of the election. He stated the realization among Bihar Muslims and everywhere is that we require an independent political voice. Himachal is of course not new to Muslim politics. Syed Shahabuddin had won the Lok Sabha seat of Kishanganj in 1991, and he was of course a prominent voice on so-called Muslim issues, from the Shabano case to the destruction of the Babri Masjid. Now, AIMIM made an entrance, yet its candidates were not new to politics. Its anti-BJP rhetoric invoked the charged atmosphere of the anti-CAA protest and fostered popularity among the youth. Yet the comfortable margins it achieved in 5 constituencies, Amor, Kochadaman, Jogihar, Baisi, and Bahadurganj, could hardly have been possible without candidates with political experience. So for instance, Asarul Iman, the main organizer of the party in Bihar, won with a margin of 52,000 votes and had been an RJD, Rajad MLA from 2005 to 2014. The winner in Bahadurganj, Anzar Naimi, used to be a member of RJD as well. In Jogihar, it was a family affair. Shanawaz Alam, son of 8-time MLA and 1-time MP Muhammad Taslimuddin, was contesting against his own brother, elder brother Sarfaraz Alam, who was on the RJD platform. In Baisi, Syed Ruknuddin Ahmed had previously won as an independent in 2005 and later joined JDU, while in Kochadaman, Muhammad Izhar Asiki had been a Panchayat Mukhya and long associated with Asarul Iman. Thus, the local standing of candidates was essential in AIMIM's victory, combined with, of course, Asaduddin Owaissi's popularity, and in some places, a subtle balance between local dominant communities, notably in Himachal, the Kulaya and Soja Puri share. This foray into Bihar politics attracted criticism and media attention. Criticism came from the Congress Party and the RJD. At some point, there had been speculation that MIM could play the role of kingmaker by choosing a side and thus helping to form the government coalition. However, this did not materialize, as MIM's 5 seats were not enough to form a majority, were it to join the Mahagathbandhan. Yet accusations of being responsible for the Mahagathbandhan's failure to win enough seats to form the government kept being hammered, notably by Congress members and supporters. However, the allegation doesn't seem to hold ground upon closer analysis. And this, in none of the constituencies where the NDA won and the Mahagathbandhan came in second place, did MIM obtain a vote share greater than the winning party's margin. In other words, the fact that MIM contested these seats did not siphon off enough votes from the MGB to be responsible for its defeat. And of course, Asaduddin Owaisi himself was very quick to point this out on social media and in response to such allegations. A more elaborate construction of this criticism point that sees the MIM as a vote gatois or BJP TBT. So a more elaborate construction of this allegation targets directly Owaisi's rhetoric of Muslim politics and questions his commitment to secularism and democracy. For instance, on the night of the election result, Congress spokesperson Pawan Khera held that Owaisi's discourse sparks radicalization among the Muslim youth by seeking to counter the BJP's radical discourse. Khera spoke of a mutually reinforced radicalization that makes Owaisi a partner in right-wing radicalization. This idea blames Owaisi for participating in Hindu-Muslim polarization on an equal footing with the BJP, thus contributing to making Muslim votes irrelevant and bolstering politicians who hold a majoritarian claim. While allegations of radicalization do not seem very strong, the question whether AIMIM's popularity or its discourse contributes to polarization seems to have some relevance. In fact, the success of BJP, JDU, or NDA candidates in constituencies with high Muslim population seems to indicate so. The BJP indeed managed to win 12 of the 32 constituencies where there is more than 30% of Muslim population. Thus, the Muslim politics discourse that is represented by Asaduddin Owaisi seems to have little scope outside of the Muslim majority areas or areas with a high Muslim population. In the rest of Bihar, the minority context creates a set of different constraints for political involvement. In this context, mainstream parties need in this context of minority politics, a whole other set of dynamics take over, in which political parties need to rely on caste alliances, elite corruption, or issue-based rhetoric. So, as I already stated, MIM's success only accounts for 5 out of 19 Muslim MLAs elected. The RJD remains the leading party with 8 Muslim MLAs. The Congress managed to bring 4 candidates to the assembly, while TPI-ML, Malay and Baspa managed to win 1 seat each. Interestingly, the RJD lost a great number of seats with the Muslim MLA to the NDA. They lost 8 seats. And among these important losses, there is Abdul Bari Siddiqui, an important figure of the RJD in Bihar. There are also 3 sitting MLAs, and in one seat, the loss is due to the void left by the death of Abdul Kafur, who was also a strong leader. But the RJD also successfully placed Muslim MLAs in 5 seats where a non-Muslim was previously speaking. Then we might raise the question whether the known MY or Muslim Yadav equation still holds, or to what extent it is still efficient. It was supposed to be the winning combination for the RJD in the 90s. And to a certain extent, we may assume that this combination still works. Actually, to be able to really account for it, we will need to look at the constituencies where Yadav candidates were able to win thanks to the support of Muslim voters as well. But here we can see that in at least 2 constituencies where there was a non-Muslim MLA previously, and where the RJD managed to bring a Muslim MLA, 2 of those were held by a Yadav. So it's just to give a clear answer here. However, the MY equation seems still viable for the RJD. A very clear trend here, however, is the sanction vote against the NDA by Muslim voters. And this is very clear from the fact that the JDU, Nitish Kumar's party, was not able to get a single one of its 11 Muslim candidates elected. Muslim populations such as Bihar, JDU's Muslim candidates, whether it's Himachal, Araria, Thakurganj, Kochadaman, Amor, or elsewhere, such as Tikal, Darbhanga, Marora, or Mawa, all came in second or third position. Hence, the JDU lost its 5 Muslim MLAs, Sarfaraz Alam in Jokihat, Mujahid Alam in Kochadaman, Muhammad Shakuddin in Shibha, Khurshid Feroz Alam in Sikta, and Norshad Alam in Thakurganj. In 2015, the JDU Muslim candidate had won thanks to the RJD-JDU alliance, but now lost in favor of the RJD and the AIMIM. So this points to the fact that Muslim voters identify JDU not so much as a Bihar-based party able to deliver, but as an alliance breaker and as an ally of the BJP. Thus, this goes against what some commentator Hilal Ahmed has commented upon the 2010 assembly elections in Bihar, about which he wrote that Muslims did not follow an active political agenda to defeat the BJP. When it comes to the Congress, since the Congress relies on long-term trends, which is to choose a sharp candidate, and also candidates who are linked with Muslim educational organizations. And the Congress showed incredible stability. It was able to retain its seats where Muslim MLAs had been elected previously. Abidur Rahman in Arabia, Shakil Ahmed Khan in Karwa, and Afata in Karwa. The importance of Aligarh is not anecdotal. I think it probably echoes the type of Muslim politics that the Congress has been pursuing in the long term. And one interesting example here is the case of Mashkur Ahmed Usmani, who's the former president of the AIMIM, the Aligarh Muslim University Student Union. And he was actually president when there was a scandal with Jinnah's portrait. He did very well with almost with more than 66,000 votes, but lost to the BJP candidate with a very close margin. Finally, if we turn to another type of Muslim minority politics, which then I would call pro-poor or issue-based politics, and which is what led one Malay candidate to be elected, Mahbub Alam in Balrampur. The CPI-ML had 3 candidates, apart from Mahbub Alam, Aftab Alam in Orai, and Qayamuddin Ansari in Ara. Only one of the 3 was elected. Yet Qayamuddin Ansari in Ara did a very good performance with 43, more than 43% of the votes, and it was a very close margin to the BJP winner. Aftab Alam in Orai also did a decent show with more than 24% of the votes. Now, this of course is due to different factors, such as the strong cadre base of the CPI-ML in Bihar and the wider support of the parties of the Mahagathbandhan. In the few minutes that I have left, I'd like to turn to what I call then Muslim identity politics, and which is closer to the field work I did in Bihar. Just in terms of context, Bihar is generally understood as a kind of bastion of Pasmanda politics, or the politics of marginalized communities among Muslims. These groups, under the name Pasmanda, challenge the leadership of the dominant communities or Ashraf communities among Muslims who claim foreign descent. So Bihar has a long history of political engagement, for instance, among Ansaris, dating back to the first half of the 20th century with the Momin Conference and Abdul Qayyum Ansari, who in fact merged the Momin Conference after independence with the Congress. More recently, so Bihar was the place where Pasmanda politics re-emerged in the 90s in a significant way. 2 strong figures came up. One was Ali Anwar, who led the Pasmanda Muslim Mahal, and the other was Dr. Ejaz Ali of the Backward Muslim Morcha. And this bifurcation is interesting because it reveals power differences within marginalized communities. In fact, Ansaris are overall better off and tend to take the lead of Pasmanda mobilization. Thus, Ejaz Ali decided to form his own organization and to go his own way with the Backward Muslim Morcha, and to represent other Pasmanda communities who were not Ansari. Yet both Ali Anwar and Ejaz Ali were co-opted by the JDU. Of course, in this very election, Pasmanda activists were quick to point out the lack of caste diversity among Muslim candidates and elected MLAs. Not only is there a continued over-representation of Ashraf candidates and elected MLAs, and in this case, they highlighted that there were 16 MLAs who belong to dominant castes or Ashraf against 3 Pasmanda. But there are also very few Biharalis represented out of the total number of caste groups. So in this election, there was one new player which sought to make a dent in Pasmanda politics, and that was the Ansari Mahapanchayat. The Ansari Mahapanchayat is an organization that was launched in 2019, founded by somebody called Basim Nayar Ansari, who hails from Gaya and studied at Jamia. And they have a very simple message. The idea is that Ansaris represent 11% of Bihar's population, but have neither MP nor MLA. And therefore, there is a need for self-representation. So the slogans are Apni Qayadat, Apni Siyasat, our own leadership, our own politics, or Jiski Jitni Abadi, Utni Hissedari. A representation should be at the level of one's share in the population. They held a large convention in Patna in December 2019, in which several personalities were present, such as Ali Anwar, that I already mentioned, or Dr. Ayub, the leader of the Peace Party, which is mostly active in UP. And although identified as a Muslim party, has a strong bend towards Ansaris. Now, such organizations and the Ansari Mahapanchayat, in fact, was not conceived as a political party, but as a kind of a pressure group or a lobby. And the objective was to talk with every political party and to try and get as many seats as possible for Ansaris. So the question then, if such organizations have little chance to actually win a seat, one needs to look at it from a different perspective. And here I like one question, I think, which is interesting, is that whether caste-based organizations are a good way of entering politics. And in this very case, we see that the founder of the Ansari Mahapanchayat, Basim Nayar Ansari, used his organization as a way to create a political base. So of course, such organizations, yes, allow one to work first among one's community to build a base. And then, of course, the fact that such organizations act as lobbies for a certain caste group leaves ideological choices for later, depending on opportunities. So at the time of the convention in December, the leaders of the Ansari Mahapanchayat used to say that they were ready to talk with any political party. Yet just a few days later, the NRC, TAA, anti-NRC, anti-CAA protest started, and there was the Bihar Band in December 15th, and the Ansari Mahapanchayat, in fact, positioned itself at that time, so against the BJP. Such organizations are also undermined by individual opportunity seekers, and in this case, the Ansari Mahapanchayat split when the JDU promised MLC seats to some of them. So this sparked some condemnation from some people who said that basically the Ansari Mahapanchayat only serves self-promotion of its leaders. But of course, the Ansari Mahapanchayat is dependent on alliance with a political party to enter the electoral fray. They had approached the Congress and the RJD, but were not satisfied with what they were offered. Initially, they hoped to get, they were talking of 30 to 40 seats in the spring, but of course, this came down very quickly. And when they joined Papu Yada's JAP, the Jan Adhikar Party, they were talking of 10 to 12 seats. Eventually, they were able to have candidates in 6 seats. So, of course, in a way, this organization ended up being marginalized within its own alliance. There was competition within the alliance between different organizations that could claim the Muslim vote. And in one particular instance, in Mahua constituency, two groups, two parties within the alliance actually fielded candidates, the Ansari Mahapanchayat and the SDPI, and both of them appealed to Muslim voters. And according to some discussions I've had with people in Marwa, this created confusion, and therefore Muslim voters voted for the RJD. So the Ansari Mahapanchayat eventually did very poorly in the election, but in a way, for its leader, this allowed him to create a political base, and he actually is looking towards the 2024 Lok Sabha election, which is why he was not running himself this year. Therefore, we can conclude when it comes to this, in spite of the importance of Pasmanda politics in Bihar, there is no significant difference between the two major Muslim caste groups, and I'm quoting here Hilal Ahmed again. These are just some illustrations of the Ansari Mahapanchayat's alliance with Bapu Yadav's party. I'm happy to talk more about it if some of you are interested. Just some concluding remarks. So I tried to highlight different kinds of political dynamics among Muslims in Bihar, who, on the one hand, there is something we can call Muslim politics, which works well in areas with a majority, Muslim majority population or high density. And it did work well for AIMIM this year. And the AIMIM's push is, of course, significant, but doesn't tell the whole story. It did bring something new, however, to the political dynamics of Bihar. But we can wonder whether such Muslim politics could work outside of such areas with majority or large Muslim population. And it's quite unlikely. Therefore, the Muslim Yadav equation seems efficient and to work best for the RJD in Bihar, while the Congress's elite corruption can also be efficient. Pasmanda politics here could not play an important electoral role, but it can be a good way for someone with political ambitions to enter politics. And finally, there is also one unambiguous conclusion we can draw from this 2020 election is the fact that there has been a very clear voting against the BJP by Muslim voters. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to discuss this in detail.